China's economy is, quote, slowing sharply as the trade war enters its fifth month, while every other major trade partner has made a deal with Trump. Across the board, China's retail sales are slowing, industrial production missed expectations, investment is crawling at just 0.5%, the worst since the 2020 pandemic. Urban joblessness, which is the only kind China cares about, is about a fifth higher than the U.S. Youth unemployment is nearly 18%, up 3 points in a single month. Still, the numbers are not as bad as many predicted. Unlike Mexico or Germany, China is not crashing. Now, this could be fake. China is famous for massaging statistics on a scale that puts our lying Bureau of Labor Statistics to shame. As the New York Times puts it, quote, China's ability to tightly control information has prevented unfettered conversations about the toll inflicted by the trade war. Indeed, China stopped publishing hundreds of economic statistics once the trade war began. Still, China is not in free fall for two reasons: stimulus and dumping. So far, China's dumped $1.6 trillion of stimulus to dull the pain, along with unconventional moves like forcing 867,000 state-owned firms to buy their own shares and, quote, investigating private brokerages who also sell shares. Second, China's actually increased exports to everybody but the U.S. Now, a big hunk is tariff evasion, where Chinese ships stop in Vietnam, unload and reload, keep going to L.A., and presto, it's a Vietnam import. But another hunk is dumping the stuff they can't sell in America below cost into Europe and the Third World. So Temu's Latin American shipments have soared 143% this year. There was a recent uproar in Indonesia about Chinese jeans selling for 80 cents. None of this is sustainable. Trump's new deals are explicitly targeting reshipments, while countries are already pushing back on Chinese dumping. The EU imposed new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. India is targeting Chinese steel. Mexico is targeting Chinese cars. In fact, China knows it's not sustainable, recently moving to starve marginal factories of capital to reduce overcapacity, in other words, to shut them down. In short, China has so far avoided the worst, assuming you believe official numbers, but it's running out of runway on both stimulus and dumping. Now, China has 40 days until November 11th to make a deal with Trump, or tariffs jump back to 145%, up from 30% today. The outstanding issues include barriers to American food, energy, and services, forced tech transfers, where China forces foreign companies to share tech and even train their competitors, along with so-called industrial policy, where Beijing gives cheap money to exporters. And Trump being Trump, he will probably want guaranteed Chinese purchases of American goods. Last time around, it was $200 billion, which they never bought, using COVID as the excuse. So as Sachs brought to you by I Trust Capital, both sides seem motivated. China backed off a ban on rare earth exports, which are used to make American weapons. A single F-35 contains a half ton of rare earths. Meanwhile, China's rhetoric has been uncharacteristically tame. They're no longer calling Trump a self-serving narcissistic bandit. For his part, Trump just postponed a planned arms sale to Taiwan and could even shift America's Taiwan stance from neutrality to opposing independence, which is a holy grail for China. So most likely, they will come to an agreement by November, and if they don't, China goes from a 30% tariff slowdown to a 145% collapse. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.